Hello and welcome to Midnight Scribe's Creative Vibes, where we speak to the best of the bronies and discover what makes them tick. Now, little old Midnight Scribe is very tired after a long day at work. I'd quite happily just wrap myself up in my floof and nap until the weekend arrives, but hey, when you have a great guest, you do not keep them waiting. And we have a fantastic guest here who I want you all to give a very big hand to. He's a member of the Rift Cafe, an analyst, reviewer, VA, and all-round personality who's collaborated with the likes of Dark Horse OC and Lightning Bliss, both previous guests on the show. He's also a creator who wears his identity very much on his sleeve. We're delighted to welcome AJ, the Autistic Pony, to the Creative Vibes studio. AJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Got a rare chance to do this interview, so I figured now would be the week I do so. How are you doing over there in Scotland, was it?
Yeah, no, I am. Yeah, no, I am in Scotland, and it is predictably enough cold and wet. So I'm afraid we're living up to the stereotype over here.
Yes, it's not much better here in the Midwest than the Americas either. Though I hear I got it off easy compared to the people over at the East Coast.
Ooh, what's happening on the East Coast right now?
Oh, just snow, and probably more snow tomorrow.
I can only apologise for all the snow we're sending over. We're getting hit with, they've called it the Beast from the East, because of course they need a nice catchy name for it. And
well, that's nice catchy.
Yeah, but what's funny is that we've had a second one, and so they just decided to call it Mini Beast of the East. I love the UK sometimes. We give these things quaint names, but still, it is great to have you on the show. You know, hope you're nice and relaxed. Like I said, do not worry. This is a nice, fun little pony show from Scotland. We do not bite the Scottish. You know, we just drink a lot occasionally.
Oh yeah, how was St. Patrick's Day?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh boy.
St. Patrick's Day went well, actually. I'm afraid for me it was it could have gone a bit better. I had a bit of food poisoning. That was the worst of it. But, you know, hey, listen, why are we talking about me? We're maybe talking about you. And I want to talk a little bit about, actually, I was drawn towards your channel's About section because there's a quote there which I thought was quite interesting, which was, don't be labelled by titles, but don't be ashamed of them. And obviously, you know, as a creator, your name is as the Autistic Pony. So, you know, it's quite interesting how you've taken it on and you're quite proud and you're quite open about who you are.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. Though a couple of things had changed a little bit down the line. Like if you check out my channel now, it's actually changed to APAJ Pony. And, well, part of that reason was because of some controversy I'd rather not get too much into. But the other reason was I kind of believe in being who you are and not being labeled by titles. Like, you are who you want to be, and it shouldn't matter what kind of race, gender, ethnic stereotype, or even mental or physical handicap you have. It's up to you to be who you be, but it works both ways. You can either be a good person, even if you have autism, or you just let that autism define you and just do whatever you want with no consequences. Well, actually, I think I could probably explain myself better if I go back to explain how my channel started. Was that a question you were probably going to ask down the line or something like that? I'm sorry if I'm just asking my own questions, Ben.
Oh, listen, look, this makes my job easier if you're asking the questions and answering them for me. I get to sit back and drink a coffee. So, no, I actually got that down there as one of the questions because I did want to ask how you actually got started in the fandom and what actually made you start contributing. So that's an absolutely perfect point to start on.
Yeah, I think it might be better to explain more. My channel seems more message if I kind of start more back from the beginning. So you got your coffee all brewed and ready to go?
Oh, yes, I'm all ready. I am coffeeed up.
So if you kind of want a more comedic, summed up version of how I kind of got started, I actually recommend checking out my sort of reaction to the first Equestria Girls movie, because that's actually a decently accurate portrayal of how I first got into the fandom. But I presume you want me to actually explain it more for this interview, right?
Well, listen, John, can I actually hold my hand up and say that I haven't actually watched the spin-offs?
Okay, but the irony is that is actually how I kind of got into fandom, or Well, it's actually a bit more complicated. See, basically one day I was just kind of at home figuring out what my life was going to be since I was still sort of in college trying to figure out who I was still in my parents' basement and all that. When I was online looking for just something that was like so bad it was good, kind of for a comedy. And one of the things, and I was like watching Barbie, old-fashioned Barbie movies. I think I can't remember everything, but the one movie that came to mind that before Equestria Girls was a Barbie and the Island Princess. Don't ask me why; it just kind of stuck into my memory. Anyways, I was looking for some so bad was good girls entertainment since it was unfortunate and fairies to be bad. When one of the things that came up was the newest My Little Pony generation, and at the time I was thinking, oh God, how bad could this be? But instead, I decided to give it a watch, and to my surprise, it was really good. Well, then I was kind of reluctant for a week to actually check out the series because the movie was like only an hour and a half. The series I had to get really invested in, but eventually I did decide to give the series a chance, and well, wouldn't you know it, it was actually pretty good.
And so what series did you actually start on? Was it right back at the first season, or did you kind of jump in somewhere?
Kind of just jumped in somewhere. I don't necessarily remember which episode I started with, but I believe the episode that made me go, I'm a brony would have had to be Read It and Weep. I know a lot of people's is more like Sonic Rainboon, but no, it was the Daring You episode, which kind of became one of my favorites. And it eventually made me hate it even more when Daring Do was made real.
No. I've heard a few people talk about that as well in the fandom, and it certainly splits favors, shall we say.
Yes. Though going on to how I eventually came around to the whole autism thing, because sooner or later down the line, I was thinking about why I like the show so much, and one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was that a lot of it seemed to be an ideal show for people on the spectrum, because kind of in my high school and early years, my parents really kind of pushed me to like more look into my condition, stuff like that. My dad was really into making me watch Parenthood because of Max, but that's something for probably later down the line. And a part of me was thinking, you know what? I think the show it actually has a lot of potential to maybe help or connect with people on the spectrum. Like a lot of the characters have personality traits that, if not make them autistic or ADHD, have the traits that can be similar to related, like how Twilight could be of OCD, Pinkie Pie, her hyperactivity, Rainbow Dash, how she learned in like testing 1, 2, 3. But then the episode that really, really made me think that would have been Flight to the Finish, like my all-time favorite one. Yeah, I think that was actually one of my first reviews I did. No, wait, my first collab review I did. How I got into first reviewing videos. Well, that didn't happen until I think like the middle of season 4, something like that. It was after I had finished watching season 3. I was basically looking for more stuff to enjoy, which eventually led me into the YouTube creative section of the fandom, like with all the PMVs, dramatic readings, and analysis videos. Particularly Dr. Wolf, who was a really big inspiration for me at the start. And I was kind of thinking, all right, this looks fun, interesting, and I have a lot of thoughts with that whole how it could be applied to people on the spectrum. So I started to fiddle around and eventually did find a video editing program. And then it came to how was I supposed to stand out or what kind of name would I use? What made me pick the name was twofold. One, admittedly, for better or worse, was a means to stand out, like the Autistic Pony. Yeah, like I said, for better or worse, that does stand out. But actually, the other dual-fold reason was I was still living with my parents at the time, so I was kind of thinking, well, what if they catch it or find out? Because, well, I wouldn't say they're necessarily, well, who am I kidding? Yeah, they were always kind of against me being a fan of the show because they care about it's a girl's show. What would people think if they see a grown man watching ponies? So I was thinking, well, maybe if I name my channel Autism Theme, I could use that as a defense. And like I said, they've always been really into me learning more about my condition, getting more active in possible autism groups and stuff like that. So I figured, well, if I make my channel seem about reviewing the show from an autistic angle point of view, maybe I can make a better defense. And as such, that's how the Pony Sona, the Autistic Pony, was formed.
Well, it's great to hear how you actually started up, and you've touched on your reasons for why you do the content you do, and for those who don't know, AJ, he talks a lot about how autism is represented in Friendship is Magic, and you've made the case for why Fluttershy is autistic and how other characters like Rarity are not necessarily neurotypical. And you even go into how Applejack is someone who is, and the benefits that her character has and how she's kind of a normie, as you put it. And, which is a great term.
Yeah, not sure where I got that from. I think it was just kind of me being, I think in high school or something, like how all the normal kids from my perspective seemed like they always felt like incompetent to me or something. So I just say, darn normies.
Oh, listen, I know what you mean. I'm pretty sure I've heard that term somewhere myself. But, the one thing I wanted to ask you was that, because you were talking about how, MLP, when you look at it, there's ways of interpreting characters as having autistic traits and identifying with them. And considering that there isn't a lot of great representation of autistic characters on TV, how do you think MLP holds up with, providing an interpretation of autistic characters?
I think it's something you more have to dig deep because, let's be honest, even if, say, Pinkie Pie did have ADHD or autism, the show is obviously not going to say that because of its target demographic. But I think if you read between the lines, or if you're just like a kid who is like super hyperactive and has trouble focusing and you're not sure about yourself, you can look at Pinkie Pie and say, I think I can kind of relate to this and follow her and grow with them as they've grown throughout the show.
And it must be comforting to see that as well, because I know it was like for myself, like not for autism, but certainly for other reasons, both for like mental health and for other things that I've got, seeing certain characters on television, whether it was explicit or implicit, seeing people who seem similar to who I was, kind of it made me feel more secure in myself because I felt like I kind of belonged.
Yeah, something kind of like that, and the fact that there was a whole fandom behind it that was just as crazy as me kind of served as a nice little bonus.
Oh, definitely. Well, the fandom is certainly. I've heard someone say that the My Little Pony fandom is one of the most energetic and mad on the other side of Fifth Harmony. So.
I'm not sure if the Love and Tolerance still holds up nowadays as much as it used to, but yeah, it definitely holds up with the mad and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's certainly a big fandom and certainly a lot of very interesting personalities and people around, and obviously the convention side as well. I tell you what, speaking of collaborations and personalities in the fandom, I know that you've collaborated with Lightning Bliss and Rose Pal in the past on videos about AJ Begin to Find Love, sort of VA project. How did that actually initially come together? What made you want to write this?
You talking about those original first early videos?
Yes, I.
Yes, it did actually start with Rosie, since she was one of my first fandom friends in this fandom. Basically, we were both autistic. That was our main advertisement, or whatever you want to call it, for our channel. We chatted and then kind of agreed to review Flight to the Finish, since we both considered that at the time our favorite episodes. Lightning Bliss then at the time just kind of came around, and we were also starting off with another guy called Prince Thunderflare, who originally my plan for that video was to kind of do like a 3-segment arc where, yes, admittedly, I did kind of develop a crush on Rosie because, hey, she was my first ever friend in the fandom. Wouldn't you have? Before I realized that she eventually got together with Final, which was perfectly fine, and I am actually still very happy for them, and I wish them both well. But basically, from there, I kind of developed this idea, kind of more for my fans to explain why Rosie and me never became a canon ship. And like I said, I was friends at Lightning Bliss and another guy named Prince Thunderflare. So from there, we kind of developed this 3-story arc that would have brought it all full circle. The first being with Rosie on Fluttershy's Autistic and that ending. Then it came up with Lightning Bliss and our review of Pinkie Pie, which kind of set up the whole moral of how I could relate to Pinkie letting go of her pride for the better of her best friend, same way I let go of my pride for my best friend. And then there was supposed to be a third video with Prince Thunderflare, but it kind of got on hold since right as I started working on the script, my dad found out I was making pony videos, and well, I guess for lack of a better term, I was kind of grounded for a few weeks. So that kind of never happened.
Oh, crikey. Oh, it's a shame when things like that happen. I mean, it's...
Yeah, so from there was pretty much just the official follow-up was just me getting together with Maddie in a collab on her channel. Maddie's a different story. Basically, she was friends with me in the Netherlands chat, a sort of mini Rift Cafe. We were friends. She was sick one day. I offered to catch up on her season 5 reviews by editing Gauntlet of Fire, and that's how that happened. Yeah, I think most of my collabs are in mind of trying to make new friends, because another thing with the autism is it kind of makes it difficult for me to just casually talk and befriend people. I often find the best way to bond with people is to have something we're working on together, trying to complete, whether it be a video review project, a fan fiction we're both pre-reading for each other, or in this case, doing an interview. I think it's something I remember from a Game of Thrones quote about how friends made in winter last longer because you bond over something you work towards or struggle with, as opposed to just casual meetings. Like, yeah, working together builds stronger bonds.
Well, there's definitely truth to that. I mean, Sugar Dove and I, survived primary school, secondary school, and church. So, frankly, if we're not best friends by the end of this, frankly, all the work has been for nothing.
Yes, I imagine church would be a good bonding experience.
Well, it keeps us busy. What can I say? But I'll tell you what, actually, I mean, you were talking there about how, some projects got delayed and things were moved around and whatnot. And, I know that better than everyone as well, particularly from the last season of Creative Vibes. But, some of us have interesting reasons why, we might take a while to put out content. Work, life, procrastination, lack of hot chocolate, so on and so forth.
Yeah, particularly that last one.
Oh, I could do with hot chocolate right now. I really want hot chocolate now. That's really annoying, right? I'm going to put that in my brain for afterwards. Go to the shop, get hot chocolate. I hate myself for coming up with these things. But you have a pretty unique distraction, as you have 2 absolutely adorable kittens.
Oh, you saw those videos?
Oh, I saw the kittens.
Oh, you hear that? People actually do watch my random vlogs. Go figure.
Oh yeah, no fucking round. I saw the cats. I was just like,
speaking of, one of them decided to bother me now. Shoot, go away. Go. Yeah.
Oh, listen, cats don't listen. Cats have their own world. They think that they're the masters of the universe and we're the little slave pets that'll do what they want.
Well, I don't know. She came around right as soon as you said cats.
And I won't say the word again then, just in case, because I can just imagine your cat just. Oh wait, no, I just said it. Wait, no.
Yeah. Hey, go.
Right, we're changing topic before I end up actually causing some sort of catastrophe. Right.
Appreciated.
Right. Comic dubs. I know you do a lot of them, and you've done fan fiction reviews as well. And what kind of fanfics and comics do you like personally? What draws you into one?
Oh, actually, believe it or not, I was a fan fiction writer first before I became a YouTube reviewer. Like, believe it or not, my actual biggest dream was to one day become a writer or something. So when I discovered, hey, fan fiction can actually be taken seriously, particularly the pony kind, boom, sign me up, fan fiction. Though when that didn't quite pan out as great as I wanted to, I then eventually decided to make the move to more YouTube stuff. And my first content were fan fiction reviews of stuff that I thought was underrated, or were just reviews from friends that would have helped me pre-read in the past. So not as many as I want. I'm actually hoping in the near future to kind of like finish it up and just kind of maybe in the future do a few more fan fiction reviews from old friends of mine that I promised but never got to.
Well, fingers crossed you'll be able to catch up with them. I mean, we certainly know a few creators that we've interviewed in the past and that we're good friends with who have much the same thing. It's like, you want to collaborate and do things with all the people you know, and life, work, once again, hot chocolate. Everything gets in the way some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, though, for what kind of fan fiction I like, believe it or not, I'm actually more kind of like a slice of life and or romance, just more something I can just enjoy casually, something like that. Let's see, if I had to pick a favorite fanfic at the moment, well, I would say Well of Pyrene, but I wouldn't be sure if you read it and it's more adventure related. So I'm dying to ask, when eventually you're going to ask me where Pride of the Apples is.
Listen, don't worry. Like I said, I mean, I always look for more things to read, to listen to, and so on. Because I'm kind of outwards looking in sometimes at the fandom. Because obviously, I interview people, and I don't tend to do a lot of creating pony stuff as such. It's interesting to actually get suggestions for things to read and to watch. Because there's so much content out there and so many cool things out there. It's always great to get recommendations.
Yeah, I actually think I remember you mentioning Pride of the Apples in a few of my friends' interviews that I have watched of you. So I'm not sure if that was eventually coming or whatnot. Since, let's see, how long has it been since I've released the last chapter of that series? It's getting to almost be a year.
Hey,
Oh boy.
could be time for an update. You never know.
Yeah, though. Yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff kind of got in the way. Yeah, I think I kind of just split the VA roles in half, so it's kind of more of a matter of waiting for voice actors to actually record. But yeah, that's kind of how Pride of the Apple started. Just me doing a fanfic review of it, thinking it didn't do enough justice, so I decided just to do a full reading of it. And then the comic dubs and other fan fiction reading just kind of came in with that whole putting off and only giving the VA actors half the script to work with, and then putting off editing the other half, adapting it to audio. And then my narrator, Soren Quill, was taking the longest, and I wasn't sure if he would be able to continue it, so I decided, you know what, maybe I should practice in case I have to take over Pride of the Apples, and that's kind of how the my dramatic readings on my channels have started to happen.
Well, good ideas come out of situations like that, when you're actually in a pinch and you've got to think about, right, how do I actually make the situation work now? But I'll tell you what, there's a question I wanted to ask you, and normally I tend to ask the question to all my guests, which is, what is their opinion on the fandom as it currently is? But I actually want to adapt it slightly for yourself, because I know you've been around the block for a couple of years, and in your Is Love Intolerance Really Dead in This Fandom video, you actually discuss about how, things have happened in the past and, for various reasons, but you said that you've managed to learn things as well from being in the community that have made you a more mature person. What lessons do you feel that you've learned, and what lessons do you think are the most important that the fandom should learn?
In terms of more of myself, I think one of the key things I've been learning and how I've matured through is learn how to communicate, know when to say something, when not to say something, and to try to think about what you say. Because I can understand people being tolerant of you, but at the same time, you have to be willing to be tolerant and understanding of them. To if they're willing to put up with you, you owe it to them to try to be the best person you can be, to learn from your past blunders, and knowing not to immediately get all shippable with a friend if it's getting really old or something like that, or knowing when a joke is probably starting to get too far, or in several cases, know when not to make a joke. But I think that was kind of my biggest blunder in the past, thinking something was funny and maybe taking it a bit too far, or not realizing until it was too late that it would make you feel uncomfortable. That was actually, now that I think about it, one of my biggest holdbacks of why didn't have too many friends in my earlier school years.
But you've learned from it as well, because it's I've been much the same as well, particularly when I was younger as well. Just the idea of kind of a disconnect between brain and mouth, I'm Scottish, we put our feet in our mouths all the time. Just, there's no subtlety. No, I mean, the thing is as well that, the great thing that I found about the fandom is that, for any flaws that it does have, and there are many, let's be honest, there's a lot to take away from it as well, like the positivity aspect and how we can actually grow as people as well. I can certainly say that since I've become a part of the fandom, I've become a far more different person than I was at the beginning, put it that way. But I tell you what, we actually, I believe, are just about run out of time. I think we might have actually used near enough all of the 30 minutes, amazingly. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself.
Yes, it wasn't too bad. Any last questions you want to ask me before you're done? Feels like you want to wrap this up, and I'd hate if you didn't get to ask any big questions you wanted to ask me.
Well, actually, the good thing is that you kind of tackled, I think in the first couple of minutes, you steamrolled through quite a few of them in one go, because you managed to tie them all together into a narrative, which was absolutely fantastic.
The one question, starting off with a fan fiction writer, I guess.
Yeah, hey, listen, look, as a writer, I can appreciate that flow. I'm totally on board with that. But I do actually have one question, actually, which I haven't asked you, which is, what's your favorite pony?
Couldn't you have asked an easier question, like what my favorite candy bar is?
If you want to answer that one, I'm all ears.
Well, I'm not really sure. I mean, even what I would probably have considered my least favorite pony would be, I would still really like her, but I think the best one, I think the one I can probably get the best explaining the time limit we have would be the Pie Sisters, Maud and Pinky. Just, I think when I think characters that have traits that represent people possibly on the spectrum, those two are the ones I think of first and foremost. Pinkie Pie being the more hyperactive, in-your-face one, where Maud is the more recluse, less spoken side of the spectrum. I'm thinking about maybe one day doing a review of mod pilot. I'm not saying near future, but it's always been on my back burner to possibly look into it to explain more. Maybe it'll happen one day, maybe not. We'll see.
But you can always add it to the to-do pile. You know, there's always another project to be worked on, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
But I tell you what, we will wrap up the show there just now. My thanks to AJ for coming on the show. My thanks to you guys for watching. And of course, if you want to get in contact with us, you know, we're on all the social medias. You know, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. We're on YouTube. And of course, we've got our email address. You're watching us right now on YouTube. You can always get in contact with us in the comments as well. Constructive criticism. Perhaps you've got some praise you want to give. Listen, look, I've been working on that floof. I would like someone to say how good it is. And perhaps if you're a creator in the fandom who'd perhaps be interested in being on the show, get in touch with us, you know, send us links to your work. We can see what happens. I mean, season 4, we're working on finishing, but there is always a season 5. You never know what will happen. But we will wrap up the show here just now. Once again, thanks to you all for watching. And the final word from Midnight Scribe is, as always, please subscribe.